It was the trade that did it. Well, this time, Heaver, that's the type of play that will work out. The dredge line connects. And the fifth person coming in, but Clyde will get him with the combo. Greg now comes into the fight. The auto attack follows him down. Rugaholic does not have the tanking. In comes Taiki again. Oh, and the ultimate comes in from Heaver, locks down both of the targets, does not get the ultimate off in time. The Fate's Call will not keep Fanatskoiken alive. Looks like it may work out, but Clyde is huge, and that's a big ultimate from Doggsz once again. He has a body slam and he's prepared to use it. There he goes in with the rampage. Takes one more tower shot. This may be enough. Oh.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grand final day for the 2015 Nordic Open, live here from DreamHack in Jönköping, Sweden. We are back and ready to go with another action-packed best of 5 to finish this off. I am, of course, Christopher Panky Panko, same as yesterday. Joining me, Laura Sinet Happening and Aaron Sonet Chamberlain, just like before. And, of course, James and Richard will be with us later on once the game begins. Hi, guys. So, without further ado, let's dive straight in. Of course, we've got Kappa V2 against We Are Doggsz. We just got a quick snippet there in that video of how they both got here from yesterday. But those people that don't remember, let's dive straight in. We'll go with Doggsz. They had a 2-0, very clean, concise win. Sono, can you give us a quick rundown?
Basically, they just won the game. A quick rundown would be to watch their games, because none of their games went over 28 minutes. It was the longest game they'd had in the tournament at 28 minutes, and they just dominated from the laning phase. They're very good at making plays. You had their support going in for the 1v3 fights as well, and at the moment, Doggsz are definitely on top of the pack.
Yeah, without a doubt, the favourites all the way through. But Kappa V2, they had a bit of a tighter series. They went 2-1 in their best of 3. Going 1-0 down in the beginning and coming back with 2 straight victories to take it. You were very impressed with them, Sinet.
Yeah, I thought at least like the last game, they played really well, like team play-wise, and I actually think their jungler, the Eve, had a really big impact in all of the games, so maybe if they leave Eve open again, he can maybe make some plays and actually make them not lose in the laning phase, like which Doggsz seem to excel at.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's introduce both of our teams. We're going to start with Kappa V2, the hometown heroes, a Swedish team, and Doggsz, in fact, from Jönköping itself. Yeah. So we see that all 5 members then. Doggsz there is their top laner, Mojo in the jungle, Zednik in the mid lane, and Greek as their AD carry, followed up by Kadbak as their support.
You need those Icelandic lessons.
Swedish
lessons.
Not even Icelandic. I just can't do these.
Grek and Kleibeik.
Grek and Kleibeik. I apologize profusely to all of those guys, but there they are up on your screens. And we do have a quick video from their initial impressions of this tournament yesterday.
Our strongest laner, I think it's our top laner, Doggsz, who's the strongest at the moment. Our second strongest, I think, is our support, Kappa. He's doing a lot of engages and stuff. He's the playmaker, I think.
The strongest player is probably our support, I think. He's played a lot more than the rest of us this season.
In the first round, I think we're gonna steamroll them. We're gonna stomp them and win by 20 minutes, so it won't be a problem.
I think we were gonna win this game.
I think we will have actually a kinda easy game against them.
Our team strength is that we like to cheese a lot. It's really fun and we just love to do it. So
a lot of cheese, a lot of aggressive plays, I guess, is our strategy.
We will cheese and play blitzcrank. That's our strategy.
If you won the tournament, I think it would be great. We would feel really good.
If we won, that would be like amazing, because that would be the free trip to Worlds. It would really be nice, since I can't afford it myself.
The secret to beating them, it would be not losing before 20 minutes.
Let me hear your battle cry.
There they are, coming out on your stage, and I hope we see exactly what it said. Lots of cheese and non-stop aggression. Hometown heroes, and it's quite crowded to cheer them on this time too. itself. Kappa V2 out on stage. But we've got to talk about their opponents. There's some big faces, some big names up in this We Are Doggsz lineup. Sona, run us down what exactly we have from them.
Well, their biggest names really come out of their bot lane and mid lane. You've got Jessers in that bottom lane, along with Heaver, who are both playing on Gamers 2 at the moment. Then in the mid lane, you've got Godbro, who's been well known in the scene for a long time. Jungle is Taiki. He's played really well throughout the entire tournament. And then it's going to be Lappa bringing in the top lane. He's been supporting, like, he's a very good top laner playing supporty champs, but actually really showed off on Hecarim yesterday. Let's see what they thought about the tournament thus far in their own video. And then I went from the bottom up as well.
We don't have any specific roles, really. It's kind of like a solo queue team. We just do our individual best, and that should be enough.
We are like strong favorites, and we should easily 2 of them.
We play more solo queue, like we kind of depend on that we pick strong champs and win laning phase.
I feel like I can play every meta champion like up to par, like how you're supposed to play them, and I feel like many of the challenger supports have really like small champion boosts that can be abused.
I don't think I bring any special strategies. I just bring solid play.
A better team than everyone else. We're just individually better than everyone else. So I think it's going to be an easy tournament.
And here they are. We Are Doggsz. No strangers to stages of this side, as we mentioned, Gopro there, and Jess is in the world stage out in the Southeast Asia region not so long ago. These guys, without a doubt, the favorites. And as we heard, of course, mentioned in the Kappa video, first place gets free tickets to see this year's World Finals live in Berlin, and of course, travel and accommodation paid. Second place, conveniently, however, gets free tickets to Stockholm at the end of this summer split. So. Big things on the line for both of them too, so we'll see exactly how that turns out. But I want to dive back in, of course, get into the nitty-gritties of the game. You've already mentioned, Signed, how Evelyn you think is going to be a contested pick and very high on the charts for Kappa. It's what they want to get. They know that the key to winning this game is not losing in the first 20 minutes. They said that in their own video. And as we heard from We Are Doggsz, they are a very aggressive, very solo QS team, just picking strong laners and going with it. We saw such a focus from Kappa yesterday on the bottom lane because they were up against Torvaldtech Black, who are a very much AD-centric team. Other than Evelyn, where are your key early game champions in this patch? We've seen a few new champions coming in with the likes of Echo being unlocked, but what is your quintessential early game setup now?
I'm not sure if they should really go for early game. I think the best strategy would be just try to survive, you know, and then I think in the later stages of the game, their team play was pretty alright, so they might be able to take the Doggsz. I think the best players in the team is probably the jungler and the top laner. The bot lane seemed a bit weak yesterday, but of course they were against Chuck Norris guy, whatever he is. And but the support seemed pretty good as well. But I think like if maybe the top lane and jungle can try to control the game, they might actually have a fighting chance.
Okay, top lane jungle focus from Kappa V2. Sona, do you have any tips and tricks? I know you were talking to the teams a little bit. They've hinted at some blitzcrank play in their video too, and we know they like the cheese. And in a best of 5, they've got plenty of room to play there. What do you think they have up their sleeve?
I think the big thing for Kappa V2 is not to get demoralized if they lose a first game or even the first couple of games. Doggsz are a very, very strong team, and they're very good in the early game. It takes a little bit getting used to as well, because solo queue, you can very much put the pressure on the first 10 minutes and demoralize the enemy team and then win just because you're ahead at that point. Whereas when you're playing these ranked 5s and these tournament realm games, it's all about being able to keep your team, keep the momentum going throughout the game. And Kappa V2 yesterday, we saw them having great team fights as they got later into the game. You said the thresh hooks were amazing. They were getting that Rek'Sai in there as well in the first game. If they can get to that stage, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple of upsets.
All right, so there's a quick insight from our expert analysis. But without further ado, we got both teams ready on stage now. So let's head over to our darling caster pair, James Stress O'Leary and Richard Polskat.
Thank you very much, Panky. I'm Richard Polskat. I am, of course, joined here by James Stress O'Leary over from Berlin. And we are just a couple seconds out from getting into this champion select and seeing what the teams bring into this game. And, you know, this series could actually be a lot closer than a lot of people have been touting.
Yeah, there's certainly a possibility for that if Kappa V2 can actually keep themselves in the game for the team fighting phase. But certainly, We Are Doggsz are the early game favorites. But we actually are already into picks and bans for this game. Already a couple of bans through, and already we're seeing a couple of different bans coming out of We Are Dog from yesterday.
This time I feel like they just misspelt it. What they have been banning through this entire tournament stress is DOG. They banned out the Alistair, which actually might be a legit ban against the support here, so they have banned that one away. Azir, Evelynn, Rise are the legit bans coming in from Kappa V2. Rise is basically the ban that you have to ban on red side, otherwise it's going to get first pick by blue. And the first pick comes out will be Kalista going on to Jezz's, and he's had a tear through both the group stages and the best of 8, or round of 8 rather, on Kalista.
I was going to say best of 8, man. We're in
best
for a long
of 8.
one here if we
I
go
wouldn't
to
even
best
work.
of 8. So Jezz's stats on Kalista coming into this 31-4 and 33 on Kalista alone. So certainly a big first pick for We Are Doggsz. Kappa V2 right now looking perhaps for their jungler as they will look for the Gragas perhaps. Rek'Sai is still available as well. With Evelynn off the table, it would kind of be pertinent for Mojo to pick up his jungle on this rotation.
Yeah, and he does exactly that, Stress. So Gragas will come through with the fresh and support as well, and a fast response in the form of both Hecarim and LeBlanc.
These are some fast lock-ins. We were kind of wondering if Doggsz had particular strategy or whether they're going for solo queue picks. They talked a lot yesterday about how they're a solo queue team. You heard it in the video as well, but yes, their games deteriorated a little bit into overconfidence and solo carry plays, but they're going for a very similar kind of setup here. Hecarim should win a fair amount of top lane matchups now that Nara is banned. LeBlanc certainly the same in the middle lane as well. So We Are Doggsz setting up for a very strong solo laner setup.
Well, it's interesting because Kappa V2 talked about how they were really going to cheese in this tournament. We haven't seen a whole lot of it, especially in the semi-finals, and it doesn't look like they're going to be doing it here. There was a lot of questions around Unicorns of Love whether their cheese could work through a long series like a best of 5, and they certainly showed up in the last split in the EU LCS. So it can definitely work, but Kappa V2 looking to keep a little more meta here. They do lock in the Sivir and the Fizz as their new, next 2 pickups. We've seen the Fizz in a lot of different roles. Actually seen him recently in top lane running Smite with the Cinderhulk. So this could go in any of these lanes.
It is a flex, but I think right now Zednik is looking for that for the mid lane. As you said, we've seen a lot of Cinderhulk. That is actually where the meta stands, but Zednik himself has been playing Fizz in the earlier rounds, and it was banned against Kappa yesterday. So it's still a flex, as you said, but with regards to what Kappa have run Fizz as before, mid lane certainly has been the lane of choice. And with that Sivir, I think that's going to work fairly well for Kappa. We saw yesterday them using the Sivir very well for themselves, managed to really disrupt a lot of the AD carry focus that the teams they went up against yesterday in Tolvatech Black. And, they managed to shut them down fairly easily.
Yeah, Kappa V2 adapted very well in that series, used the Sivir to get right on top of that AD carry, who was the main threat coming in yesterday up against the team they were facing. But the last 2 lock-ins have come out from Dog. It will be the Rek'Sai and Kennen. And we will have the Kennen-Kalista combo in the bot lane.
Yeah, we saw that yesterday as well, coming out from We Are Dog, the Ash and Pikachu combination, as we did see. But it worked very effectively. It's something that We Are Doggsz has run previously in other rounds of the tournament. They favor it very well. Heavy poke in that lane, a lot of lane presence, and it's very difficult to actually sit in a lane when you're trying to avoid shurikens, trying to avoid spears, and just Kalista's damage in lane overall is very tough to deal.
Yeah, huge amount of poke, and it is the Kalista-Sivir matchup as well, so Sivir is going to have a rough time in that matchup. You know, we have the trifecta of bot lanes at the moment, with Urgot being the other one in there. So this will be a hard matchup, but as a compositional choice, it can definitely work out. But as Cyanide was saying, may want to look for a later game composition, and the Vladimir will definitely fit in that.
It would. They still can flex either mid or top here. As I said, I'm expecting Fizz mid. Vlad top we haven't seen all that much of recently. Been favoring a lot more of straight up tanks rather than kind of a vamp tank like Vladimir, where you're building tanky, but at the same time you need to be dealing damage in fights to be able to absorb. One thing for Kappa V2 is they're relying only on Sivir right now for their wave clear. Fizz, very low wave clear. Vladimir, very low range on his wave clear as well. So honestly, this is a game where Doris is going to be very slow to build up in this game against a Hecarim and against a LeBlanc who can get into fights around the map a lot more easily.
Well, as you said at the start of the Champions League, this is definitely very solo queue-esque, very strong in these lanes, trying to pick up the early advantage and snowball it into a win. This is what has worked for them so far in this tournament, and there's no reason to stop now. The Hecarim into Vlad matchup, going to be very difficult. Mid lane's going to be a little more equal with this Fizz coming in, but again, LeBlanc, once she gets rolling in that lane, there's almost no stopping her.
Yeah, that's one lane we really have to keep our eyes open on, and haven't really seen too much of the Vladimir into Hecarim matchup in the top lane either. So a lot of interesting things overall in this game, but we know We Are Doggsz are going to come out of the gates firing in the laning phase.
Yes, indeed, Stress. So we are about to get into our first game here in this best of 5, the grand finals of the Nordic Open. It will be We Are Doggsz up against Kappa V2, and they are fighting for the tickets to Worlds. Not to compete, to spectate. And these teams will be fighting tooth and nail for that prize.
They will indeed, but it's potential 5 games to get there as the teams take to the Rift for game number 1. We Are Doggsz do have a pretty exceptionally low game average game time when it comes to actually closing the games out. So Kappa V2 certainly know they're up against it on this one. Invade coming through, but they are walking over a ward, so Kappa V2 will be spotted out, and there's a ward on blue as well, so We Are Doggsz know exactly where the Kappa crew are.
Yeah, Kappa trying to get a ward. Okay, that's the lane swap ward. It is out of range of that turret, so Lappa won't be able to take that one away. But that has also meant the Dog was able to just move into the bottom jungle of Kappa V2 and place down their own wards. They even got one in the top jungle as well, so almost feels like Dog got a little more information from that level 1.
At this point, it depends on whether Kappa V2 decide to put their bot lane in the bottom lane or keep them top here. They are recalling, so I'm assuming they're going to put them bottom, which is a tough lane, as we already went over. The Kalista and the Kennen tend to do fairly well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them just wait around here a little bit longer, and that's exactly what we are seeing from Kappa V2. They are putting Sivir into the top lane as well, so this should be the matchup that they wanted to avoid, and will put a lot of pressure on Doggsz, though, at the same time. But Doggsz is going to struggle a little bit to actually get farm, while Lappa can go around the jungle and take some camps from Mojo.
Yeah, this play definitely makes more sense. I mean, Hecarim into Vladimir. Vladimir will suffer because Vladimir can't really run away very well from the Hecarim before he just runs him over in lane, so this one will be a double jungle start, just so Lappa can soak up some of that XP from his jungle. But we do have an invade here from Kappa V2 onto the blue buff. So they might be able to get free buffs at the start here from Doggsz and Mojo.
They may do. It depends, honestly, on where Taiki goes. And you can see Taiki's already crossing through. So the reason that We Are Doggsz are able to do this, because of the wards they got in the top side jungle, they didn't spot Mojo going for his own red, and they knew he was top side as well. So at this point, Taiki and Lappa know they can go together and just take out most of the bottom side jungle here from Kappa V2.
Yeah, Mojo will go over to his own red buff and is no longer moving through the jungle with his allies. Hiva now in the bottom side of the map, so heavily stacked here for Doggsz, so they're pretty safe when it comes to this invade. You actually saw them take the Merc Wolves on top of the blue buff, so taking as many advantages as they can. Clypike now coming into this, has been spotted out by the Prey Seeker. Knows are down here, ward over the wall from Doggsz, will be just trying to assist with the Gromp. Clypike might be able to take this away with an auto. I believe he's taking a Flay first, so we'll have the extra damage, but was unsuccessful, and Taiki takes it off and walks straight into lane underneath this tower. They're gonna go for the tower dive at level 1 though, underneath with Clypike. Doggsz drops low as well. Jesse is tanking up the turret, flash over the wall from Mojo. He's full health, full damage, but the first blood goes over to Taiki, and it's the tower shots raining down onto Jesse. He flashes away at the bot lane, he's at critical HP. Mojo now in this one-on-one, but it's the red buff over to Taiki. The damage is being dished out, and Hiva up to the top side. Everyone collapses down onto the Gragas, and that results in 3-1 over to Doggsz.
Not quite over yet. Doggsz teleporting in. They knows there's low health targets, but that was just well balanced by We Are Doggsz. The other thing that happened during that engage was Zednik actually just 1v1 Godbro in the middle lane, just straight up. Zednik hit the level 4 mark, and it's at that point that he gets that second point into Playful Trickster, and it looks like Godbro just took too much harass on the build up to that. But honestly, you look at how that tower dive went out for We Are Doggsz. Very, very sketchy when it comes to how low their health was at the end, but really good tower aggro juggling from the We Are Doggsz lineup.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing to take away from that. The juggling was perfect. It was literally one tower shot away from killing both Jesse and Hiva as they went for that tower dive, and that has resulted in a very early advantage in terms of kills and gold. And this is essentially what they were looking for champions, like the early game advantage, trying to just snowball this into a win. Kappa v2, the Fizz seems a little out of place because they're trying to stall out the composition with the Vlad and the Sivir, and Fizz just kind of wants to kill people.
I mean, it'll help them get through the mid game. They're not relying on a scaling mid laner at all, and it's a comfort pick for Zednik, as we touched on in Champion Select. The fact that he's got a kill already is going to help him out, but he is down in CS, as you'd expect from a range versus melee in the mid lane. But speaking of CS, Greg has been farming in that top lane, but it's bottom side jungle that doesn't engage.
Hiva and Taiki aggressing into the jungle. Clyde is still level 1 at 5 minutes into the game, and he'll be going down again. Mojo and Zednik trying to get a kill in return, but the tunnel is being set up, and Taiki is able to make his way out. Hiva looking for another lockdown with his passive. Godbro comes in from the middle lane to just tap him on the shoulder for the assist, and Taiki picks up yet another kill.
Clyde just cannot get experience from anywhere, and you can see We Are Doggsz even going bottom lane again.
Well, Taiki moving on to Doggsz here, has to use the Sanguine Pool. Hiva trying to get in range for the Shurikens to lock him down, doesn't quite get it. But still, when the support is harassing the top laner out of lane, you have problems.
And in the bottom lane, the problem is the tower is about to fall in favor of We Are Doggsz. It's on very low health here. One more set of minions to the turret will be enough. So We Are Doggsz not only have a big lead from their kills only 6 minutes in, but they're about to take the first turret of the game. And Greg has basically just been sitting in lane, not pushing against Lappa. And as soon as Lappa got there, he was able to start clearing out the waves as well. And it means that he hasn't even got an advantage on CS himself.
Well, this is Doggsz on top form. We actually saw them yesterday, and while they did very well, they weren't this controlled and clear in what they were doing. They were just winning their lanes. But this is map movements. This is working as a team. And one of the ways that we figured that Kappa v2 might be able to come into this and potentially take the series was out-team playing Dog, who are a bunch of solo queue players, but they're not looking like that at the moment, Stress.
No, they certainly aren't. They look a lot more coordinated with that tower juggling than we saw yesterday. And I feel like We Are Doggsz are taking this a little bit more seriously than they were taking perhaps yesterday's games. You look at things, and they didn't ban Dog, they banned Dag. Slightly different, but the Alistair actually may have made a difference in that tower dive with regards to the pulverize crowd control. So they clearly wanted Clyde not on Alistair at all, and now they're just coming out with better early game strategy. They called the lane swap setup, and now they're calling a gank in the top lane.
Yeah, this was a 3-on-3 though. Mojo comes in with a body slam. Taiki has been hooked up and locked down, but Hiva, all the damage went onto him. He flashes aggressively, looking for the lockdown. Lappa now comes in with the teleport, does not get in range before his allies have already done the job.
And at this point, they're going to look for the top tower from this as well. We Are Doggsz just using the teleporter to their advantage every single time.
Oh, the onslaught of shadows onto Clyde. Like, he's only level 2. This is not fair. And he goes down again. 0-3 in this game, has just not been able to get into a lane.
There was just no read on the early dive from Kappa v2, and this game has just gone completely out of control. We're only 8 minutes in, and there's already